All right, let's dive into this one. The Fall of the Roman Empire. A film that, well, it's got these massive sets, thousands of extras, but it still feels like it's about more than just spectacle, you know?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. It came out in '64, right in the middle of uh, that whole wave of big budget epics. I mean, you had Ben-Hur, you had Cleopatra. The fall of the Roman Empire really had to do something to stand out.
Did it though? Like,
And
I mean, beyond the scale, what makes it something worth revisiting now? Like, why should we care about this film?
one thing that really sets it apart is how it tackles these big ideas, like power and leadership. It's not just good guys versus bad guys. It really digs into the moral stuff, like what those in power face,
Mm.
the potential for things to go wrong, how people get corrupted.
Yeah, you see that right away with Marcus Aurelius, right? Played by Alec
Uh,
Guinness.
oh, absolutely.
He's not your typical, heroic emperor.
Right. I mean, Guinness is known for playing like reserved characters, right?
Yeah.
And he really captures that internal struggle of a ruler,
Hmm.
dealing with his legacy and all that.
Hmm.
He makes Aurelius into this really philosophical figure, someone who wants the best for Rome, genuinely,
Right.
but who also sees the darker side of things, the stuff that drives men, like Commodus.
Oh, Commodus. I mean, Christopher Plummer as Commodus, talk about chilling. You can just see the wheels turning in his head as he's scheming his way to
Oh
power.
yeah, it's a fantastic performance. He becomes this man consumed by ambition, willing to betray anyone, anything,
Yeah.
just to get that power. And what's interesting is the film doesn't just paint him as a monster right away. He's complex. You
Uh-huh.
could almost argue he starts with good intentions,
Yeah.
but that lust for power, man, it just corrupts him.
Right, and that makes his whole descent so much more tragic. And then you can't forget Sophia Loren as Lucilla, caught between these two powerful men, almost like she represents Rome itself, right? Like at a crossroads.
Yeah, and her performance is so key. She's not just some, damsel in distress. Lucilla's smart. She understands politics. And she sees the threat Commodus poses, not just to her, but to the whole future of Rome.
It's like this whole web of relationships, motivations, and that's what makes it more than just a spectacle, historical
What
spectacle.
it forces you to think about the decisions, the compromises,
Mhm.
the unintended consequences, things that echo down through generations.
Makes you think about how we see those same struggles today. I mean,
Hmm.
in politics, even in our own lives, right?
Oh, totally. Just look at, think about, mention a current event that reflects a struggle for power or a moral dilemma. You
Yeah.
see that same tension between idealism and what actually works, that desire for power, butting up against doing what's right for everyone. It's something that's always with us, no matter the time period.
And it's amazing how a film from, what, 64 can still hold up a mirror to what we're dealing with now and the visuals. I mean,
Yeah.
they really went all out to recreate Rome. Wasn't it like over 1,000 feet for just the Roman Forum set?
Yeah, that's right. And it wasn't just about size, it was the detail.
Mm.
They really wanted to put you right there, right in ancient Rome. And think about it. No CGI, none of those special effects we have now.
Yeah.
It was all practical.
Wow. So why do you think why'd they go to such lengths? Was it just to be flashy, make a spectacle? Or was
I,
there more to it?
oh, I think it was both, Like, yeah, they wanted to wow the audience,
Mm.
take him back in time, but I also think there was this real artistic drive there, using the grandeur of Rome, right, as this backdrop for these universal themes, power, morality, what it means to be human, that kind of stuff.
And it's interesting though, because for all that ambition, all those visuals, it wasn't a huge hit, was it? Like at the box office.
No, not really. It underperformed.
Mm.
And there are a few theories about why, you know. Some say it was just too long. I mean, over 3 hours, right?
Mhm.
People back then were used to shorter films, simpler stories. Others think maybe it was just too complex. All that stuff about morality and politics. Maybe audiences weren't ready for that.
So maybe it got lost in the shuffle, with all those other epics that were.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you got to think about the time too, the '60s, Vietnam, the civil rights movement, all that was going on. Maybe people just wanted to escape,
Mm.
not see a film that really made them think.
Makes you realize how much the time a film comes out affects its success, even a big one like this. But the fall of the Roman Empire, I mean, it didn't just disappear, did
No,
it?
not at all. Actually, it's had a bit of a revival lately. I'd even say it's become a cult classic.
What do you think is driving that? Why are people today finding something in a film that maybe wasn't appreciated back then?
Well, for one, I think the themes, they feel more relevant now than ever. All that stuff about political instability, democracy being fragile,
Yeah.
the dangers of letting ambition run wild. we're dealing with those same things today.
Yeah, it's like history is rhyming, right? The rise of populism, people losing trust in institutions, all the division.
Exactly. And the fall of the Roman Empire is like this lens, to look at our own time through. It's not just about ancient Rome anymore. It's about how history repeats itself and the challenges we face as humans, always.
And visually, I mean, it still holds up, right? All those sweeping shots of Rome.
Oh, absolutely. It's a
Yeah.
real testament to the filmmakers.
Mhm.
They created something truly immersive, something that still grabs you all these years later.
Makes me think about Gladiator, you know? That was a huge hit back in 2000, and it shares a lot of the same themes, even borrows some plot points.
Oh, yeah. Gladiator definitely owes something to the fall of the Roman Empire. Ridley Scott. He's even said so himself. It's amazing how a film from '64 can still influence movies today.
So even though it wasn't a smash hit at first, the fall of the Roman Empire found its audience eventually. It has a legacy, you know?
It does, and I think it's because it connects with people on this emotional level. It's not just a history lesson. It's about human nature, the choices we make,
Yeah.
and what comes after, the consequences.
It makes you wonder, how would it be received if it came out today? Do you think audiences now who are used to more complex stories, longer films, would they embrace it more than they did in the 60s?
That's a really good question. It's hard to say, but
Yeah.
I think there's a chance it would resonate even more.
I kind of think so too. I mean, look at TV, Game of Thrones, House of Cards, all these shows with these intricate plots, morally gray characters. People love them. Maybe the fall of the Roman Empire was just ahead of its time?
Maybe it was. Maybe it came out at the wrong time. I mean, audiences now they're more open to things that challenge them,
Yeah.
stories that aren't so black and white.
Yeah, and let's face it, we're used to longer stuff now. 3 hours, that's like one season of a show? But it's more than just the length. It's the ideas, the themes. Those would really hit home today. We're living in this time of, I don't know, uncertainty. You see political divisions everywhere, unrest, and the fall of the Roman Empire. It's like a warning. What happens when a society, when they get complacent, and those in power, they take advantage.
It is a cautionary tale.
Yeah.
It's not just about history, though, right? It's about us, about human nature, about ambition, about protecting those democratic ideals. It asks us, what can we do? How do we stop history from repeating itself?
Which brings us to the big question. What does this all mean? You know, for the listener, why should they care about this film, about ancient Rome, all this stuff from over 50 years ago?
Because it's a chance to think about our own time. It's a film that says, hey, look at history, not just as dates and names, but as something that's alive,
Mhm.
something that's still relevant.
It's about seeing the patterns,
Yeah.
asking those tough questions about where we're going as a society. Are we making the same mistakes as Rome, or can we learn from them and do something different?
Exactly. And that's what makes this film so powerful. It doesn't give you easy answers. It makes you grapple with these complex things, see different perspectives.
So if you haven't seen The Fall of the Roman Empire, you really should check it out. It's a film that it'll stick with you, it'll make you think.
And if you have seen it, maybe it's time to revisit it,
Yeah.
with fresh eyes. See what it says to you now in the world we live in today.
I know I did. And it's amazing how well it's aged. Not just the visuals, but the message. How fragile empires are, how human nature, it always plays a part. And the choices we make, they shape everything. That's what it's about.
And maybe, just maybe, by looking at these stories, by thinking about the past and the present, we can find a way to face the challenges ahead and build something better.
Well said. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the fall of the Roman Empire. It's a film that reminds us that history, it's not just something in a book. It's alive, it's shaping us, it's showing us who we are and who we might become